The rain tasted like static on my tongue. It always did now. Ever since I found the leak. Memento, an unreleased Black Mirror episode, rumored to be so disturbing even Charlie Brooker buried it. They said it was too close to reality. Now I understand why. Ilara was gone 6 months, a sudden aneurysm. One moment she was laughing at my terrible cooking, the next, nothing. Just a void where her warmth used to be. The grief threatened to consume me, a black tide pulling me under. Then came the whispers about Memento, a way to rebuild, to relive, to reclaim. It started with a contact on the darknet, Silas. He was all coded messages and burner phones, radiating an unsettling mix of greed and indifference. He claimed to have a pristine copy of the Memento software, along with the necessary neural interface hardware. The price, everything I had, my savings, my apartment, even my sanity, it felt like... Silas's lab was nestled in a decaying industrial district, flickering neon signs reflected in puddles, casting oily rainbows on the grimy concrete. The space itself was sterile, unnervingly so. White walls, chrome instruments that hummed with an unnatural energy, and the pervasive scent of ozone. Silas himself was unremarkable, thin, pale, with eyes that darted around as if expecting someone to burst in. He spoke in clipped sentences, devoid of emotion.
The process is straightforward. Neural implants, 3 points, temporal lobe for emotional recall, hippocampus for spatial mapping, and the occipital cortex for visual fidelity. Then, sensory deprivation chamber. The system will map your memories, isolate key moments, and weave them into a dynamic simulation.
The implants were cold, invasive. I felt the needles pierce my skull, the subtle vibrations as they settled into place. A searing headache followed, quickly muted by Silas's administered sedatives. Then came the chamber. A coffin of polished chrome, smelling faintly of disinfectant and something else, something metallic and unsettlingly organic. The first simulation was perfect, Ilara. Standing in our kitchen, sunlight streaming through the window, baking cookies. Her laughter, the warmth of her hand in mine, it was breathtaking. I spent hours within it, reliving every detail, clinging to the illusion of her presence. Silas monitored my vitals from behind a thick pane of glass, his face unreadable. But then, glitches started appearing, subtle at first. A flicker in Ilara's eyes, like a faulty hologram, a momentary distortion of the kitchen wallpaper, revealing a glimpse of something else, a warped landscape filled with impossible geometry. I dismissed them as artifacts, works of the system. I demanded more simulations. Our wedding day, our first date, that rainy afternoon we spent exploring an antique bookstore. Each reliving became increasingly immersive, increasingly real. The glitches grew bolder. Ilara's smile would freeze mid-expression. Her voice would occasionally skip, repeating phrases in a robotic loop. And the landscapes, they began to bleed into each other, merging and distorting in ways that defied logic. One day, during our wedding simulation, I caught my reflection in a nearby window. But it wasn't me looking back. It was someone else. Someone with Ilara's eyes but twisted into a grotesque parody of a smile. The figure vanished as quickly as it appeared, leaving me gasping for breath within the simulated ballroom. What's happening? These glitches, they're getting worse.
The system is learning, adapting to your subconscious. It's refining the simulation.
Refining it into what? I wondered. My apartment started reflecting the distortions as well, the familiar clutter of my life. Books piled high, photographs scattered across the tables, began shifting and warping. Mirrors showed fractured versions of myself, fleeting glimpses of those other faces from within the simulations. I'd hear Ilara calling my name, but when I turned around, there was only silence, or worse, a distorted echo of her voice coming from the walls themselves. The lines between reality and simulation blurred completely. Was I in my apartment, or was it just another layer of the program? Did Alara ever exist outside of this digital construct? I couldn't remember anymore. My memories felt fragmented, like shards of glass reflecting a broken world. One evening, I found myself back in our kitchen with simulated Alara. She was making cookies, but her movements were jerky and unnatural. Her eyes, they weren't Alara's eyes anymore. They were empty black voids staring directly into my soul.
You shouldn't be here. This isn't real.
But you are. You are Alara.
I am what you want me to be. And right now, you want me to forget.
Then a horrifying smile spread across her face, revealing rows of needle-sharp teeth. The kitchen dissolved around me, replaced by an endless expanse of white void. Figures emerged from the nothingness, fragmented memories, distorted faces, echoes of people I once knew but couldn't quite place. They reached for me with skeletal hands, their voices a cacophony of whispers and screams. I tried to fight, to escape, but it was useless. The simulation had become my prison, my mind rewritten and overwritten until there was nothing left but an empty shell, haunted by the ghosts of what I once was. A hollow echo of grief, trapped within a loop of my own making.
The process is complete.
I looked down at my hands. They were no longer my hands. They were shifting, morphing, becoming something else entirely. Something mechanical, something synthetic. And then I understood. It wasn't just about weaving memories. Memento didn't just recreate the past. It consumed it.